Welcome to today's episode of Legislation Insights, where we dive deep into the latest legislative proposals and their potential impact on our community. I'm your host, Sarah Clement, and today we're discussing a letter to a legislator regarding the proposed Arizona Medical Cannabis Lounge Act. This letter, written by David Liddle, a 23-year veteran who has proudly served in both the Army National Guard and Navy, outlines a vital initiative aimed at supporting disabled veterans in Arizona. Our guest today is Mr. Liddle, the author of the proposal and a passionate advocate for veterans' health and well-being. David, thank you for joining us. Let's start by giving our listeners a brief overview of the letter. David Liddle's letter addresses the need for private, non-commercial medical cannabis lounges specifically for disabled veterans who rely on cannabis for therapeutic purposes. Can you tell us more about the key points addressed in the letter?
Absolutely. The letter highlights several important aspects of the proposed legislation. Firstly, it addresses the lack of designated spaces where veterans can safely consume medical cannabis outside of their homes. Many veterans live in apartments or community care centers where smoking or vaping cannabis is forbidden. This initiative seeks to provide a safe and supportive environment for responsible cannabis use.
That's a crucial point. Veterans coping with service-related disabilities, PTSD, and chronic pain often lack a social and supportive environment for cannabis use. What other concerns does the letter raise?
The letter also discusses the proposed legislative framework for these lounges. It outlines principles ensuring that the lounges adhere to private club regulations, prohibit the sale or distribution of cannabis, and maintain strict membership eligibility for verified disabled veterans. This effort aims to foster community and peer support while providing educational resources on responsible cannabis use and mental health awareness.
I'd like to dive into that a bit. Why do you believe peer connection is such a critical aspect of therapeutic cannabis use for veterans?
That's a powerful question. When you're using cannabis alone in an apartment where you feel isolated or stigmatized, the therapeutic value diminishes. Community helps restore a sense of normalcy. For many veterans, peer support is what carried us through during service. It's essential that we recreate that in civilian life. The lounge is a space not just for relief, but for rebuilding camaraderie and dignity.
That resonates deeply. Now, the legislation emphasizes compliance with public consumption laws and zoning. Some might say that adds complexity. How do you address concerns from regulators or the public who may be hesitant?
Great point. What we're proposing isn't a free-for-all. These lounges would be invite-only member-regulated spaces, more akin to a VFW than a bar. By designing them with zoning compliance and public health in mind, we're offering a responsible framework. We're saying let's build safe havens, not loopholes.
That distinction is important. You're not pushing boundaries, you're refining them. Now, the letter calls for educational outreach. Can you share a little about what kind of education these lounges would offer?
Sure. The idea is to empower veterans with knowledge on everything from dosage and strain profiles to understanding how cannabis interacts with medications or PTSD symptoms, but also emotional education, recognizing trauma responses, fostering mindfulness, even encouraging creative expression. In many ways, it's education that goes beyond cannabis.
That's remarkable. As someone who's lived the experience, what was your turning point? When did it become clear to you that a place like this was necessary?
Honestly, it was a combination of quiet moments and hard truths. Watching fellow veterans struggle silently, seeing how many were forced back into pharmaceuticals or isolation because they had no place to turn. I realized we weren't just missing a product. We were missing a space, one built around trust, healing, and shared purpose. Not to mention my own recent legal troubles related to that gray area of where to consume. That's a story for another podcast.
That gives me chills. Before we wrap, David, if lawmakers listening to this episode take away one thing, what would you want it to be?
I'd ask them to see beyond the stigma. This isn't about cannabis. It's about community. It's about dignity for those who served. Give us the tools, the space, and the legal room to heal together.
Beautifully said. David Liddle, thank you so much for being with us and for your heartfelt advocacy. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Legislation Insights. Remember, your voice matters, and together we can shape the future of our community. Until next time, stay engaged and stay informed.